96.9 KDLO Country as we visit this morning with Mr. Jimmy Fortune on the radio. And Jimmy, welcome to KDLO and welcome to South Dakota this weekend, man.
Well, thank you, buddy. I am so looking forward to coming out there. I was just talking about how beautiful it is and how wonderful the people are out there. And I'm looking forward to playing Sisseton. I've never really played in Sisseton. That's how you pronounce it, right?
Correct.
Sisseton.
Yep.
And I never played in that town before, but I've been all around it up there. But I'm sure looking forward to coming there. And I know that my buddy Jim Ed Brown has always bragged about being up there and how great it is. So I'm looking forward to getting out there. And as I was talking to you before, I just might write a song about that place.
He's working on it already.
You never know what's going to come out of it.
Yeah, you've performed in South Dakota quite a bit, haven't you?
Yeah, I used to come up there bird hunting. Sometimes I kind of mix a little pleasure with coming up and as far as getting out and having fun with some of my friends and with coming out and doing some shows as well. And yeah, I've been all over South Dakota out there, and I've always said, you riding through sometimes on the interstate, you don't get to see the beauty of it until you actually get out there in some of the little small towns and in some of those farms and get out in the fields and see those beautiful blue skies and, like I said, white puffy clouds, and you get out in the middle of all that beauty and you just see things that people don't see when you're just kind of passing through,
Well, I have to ask you about the songwriting end of things, Jimmy, because you've written some huge hits, not just for the Statler Brothers, but for yourself as well. And one song that really stands out to me, and I have to ask you where the inspiration for this one came from, and you probably told the story thousands of times, but if you don't care to share with our listeners this morning, and the song we're talking about is More Than a Name on the Wall.
More Than a Name on the Wall is probably one of my favorite songs I've ever had anything to do with. I was getting ready to. I hadn't been with the Statler Brothers, I guess, probably about 5 or 6 years when I wrote this song, but I was getting ready to write with a friend of mine named John Rimmel in Virginia, and we were going to get together and write, and I made a trip to Washington, D.C. I wanted to go up, and I wanted to see the memorials up there and see all the different memorials of all the different wars that had been fought and that were built, to honor our veterans, our heroes that died for us, and there's some beautiful memorials in there, and I just, as I walked around, I realized that we really can't make anything beautiful enough, or we can't write or sing beautiful enough words to say thank you, But I said, at least my job as a songwriter would be to try to say something, and as I came over the hill, I saw the Vietnam Memorial for the first time. It was 60,000 names on one wall. Mm. And when I saw that for the first time, it just, you hear 60,000. You don't put. It's hard to visualize 60,000 until you see it. You see that wall, and it's like one name stacked on top of the other that just, you have to see it to believe it. That you see all those names and realize that. Each one of those names, there's so much more behind it. There's a mother giving birth to that child, and then going off to school for the first time, then eventually going off to war, never coming home, but all the memories in between. And then as I stood there, that profound statement hit me, and I just listened to some of the stories of some of the people that were coming, the mothers, and the fathers, and the brothers, and the sisters, and husbands, and wives, and family members that were coming there, and listening to some of their stories. And that was just one story in so many stories that I heard that day. But what got me was when I saw this mother that was kneeling down, and she had her little note that she put there and her pictures of her son, and she traced the name off the wall, and she was talking, and as she talked, she looked into the wall, and then I just felt like that you could see into the wall. It's like a reflection that you see into the wall. And it's like you see not just, it doesn't stop there. It just goes beyond that. And so my profound statement just hit me that there's more there's so much more than a name on a wall, even though that's a beautiful tribute. And it's just made an impact over the years. Had a soldier came up to me, Vietnam veteran, just a few weeks ago, and he thanked me for that song. He said, because along about that time that song became a hit, really people started thinking about it, and it started changing people's minds about that, and people could talk about it. Even the soldiers could actually start to talk about things that happened to them that they couldn't talk about before. It just opened up a conversation, I guess you might say, about it, and that conversation has grown and grown and grown and grown until now. America does not feel the way it felt about that. It was like a confusing time back when the Vietnam era happened.
Yeah.
And some of those boys came home and told me that they were spit on, when they came off the planes. And I said, well, everyone that I see, I will put my hand out, shake their hand, hug their neck, and say thank you and welcome home. Because, man, I'll tell you what, that was a tough time for those boys. And they went and fought for the same reasons that everybody else fought for our country. And some of them were drafted. Some of them had no choice. They had to go. And so every time I get to say thank you, you can bet your bottom dollar that old Jimmy Fortune is going to say thank you till the day he dies and welcome home to those guys.
I caught a video of you online. You were singing the More Than a Name. I think it's at one of the country family reunions, and just the raw emotion that you were singing the song with, it brought tears to my eyes, Jimmy.
Well, it's a truly heartfelt song, and I remember you're probably talking about the one time when Jan Howard was there, and Jan Howard lost a son in Vietnam, and she told her story that day on that show, and she had another son who was in Vietnam as well. Matter of fact, the son that was there had to bring her other son home, and that day she could have took my heart out of my chest and just put it on the floor and just stomped on it, because it just really got to me, the sacrifices that these mothers and these families make. They're the ones that have to live on without their child, and I never had to have that kind of loss in my family, and I actually, when you really stop and think about it, these men and women who put their lives on the line every day, they're doing it for us, and it's like someone that doesn't even know you steps up. It's basically what it is. It's like someone steps up in front of you, and you're going to step out into some oncoming traffic, and you may or may not be hit by a car, but they're going to stop you and say, no, let me go before you. And basically, that's really what it is.
Yeah.
They give their lives and put their lives on the line for us to enjoy this country and the freedom that we have. And somehow or another, I came through all of it, and I've lived my life, and I've lived the American dream. America's the greatest country on earth. If you don't believe it, just go outside these borders. You'll find out. And you go outside these borders of this country, you will know that there's no other country like the United States of America where you can express your opinion no matter what it is. You had somebody who fought for you to express your opinion no matter how right or wrong it is. You can express your opinion because someone went out there and gave their life for you. And I tell you what, I take up their values, and I take up their reasons that they went. And I try to put them in my life, and I try to put them in my songs, especially this song, to say thank you, that we will remember, never forget, that they are more than a name on a wall, because that's the way it is.
We're talking with Jimmy Fortune this morning on 96.9 KDLO Country. Jimmy talking about his appreciation for our military servicemen and women, and the sacrifices that they've made, and the sacrifices that he embodied in the song More Than a Name on the Wall. Jimmy's going to be in concert in Sisseton this coming Saturday night. And Jimmy, I have to talk to you about the Statler Brothers and about how you got involved with the Statler Brothers.
Well, that's a long story. Matter of fact, I'm in the process of writing a book, and I'm working on that right now. It's been working on it for probably a little over a year now, but it's probably going to take a couple more years to finish it up. But back in 1981, I was playing clubs back in Virginia. I was playing 6 nights a week, 4 hours a night, and I had 2 daytime jobs. I was a service writer at a car dealership, and then I also would clean restaurants and bathrooms and stuff like that for the places that we would play, sometimes as a part-time job. So I was working all the time, and I had an opportunity to go to a jam one night. It was the night before Thanksgiving, 1981. I went to a jam session with friends of mine there that were playing, and that night that I went, Lou DeWitt of the Statler Brothers, who sang tenor for the Statler Brothers, who also wrote Flowers on the Wall, he was there that night. And I didn't know it at the time, but he suffered from Crohn's disease. And I got to meet him that night. He's one of my heroes, and I just loved him. I loved his singing, his songwriting, and his playing. And we met, and we sang together, and we had a big time. And I thought, well, after that night, I got to meet one of my heroes. I'll probably never hear from him again. Lo and behold, right after Christmas that year, I get a call from the Statler Brothers saying Lou was going to be out for about 6 months for surgery, and I was the first name out of his mouth. And I always said my life has a lot of little God things here and there. And that was definitely a big God thing right there, because it's the only way you can explain something like that happening. And they had other auditions. They held auditions in Nashville, and they came back to me and said wanted me to fly to Nashville. I flew down and auditioned here in Nashville as well. And then after that, they hired me for 6 months. It was a temporary thing. And then, to make a long story short, things went really well for that 6 months. But then Lou came back after in like June of 1982, and he decided he didn't think he could take the road. So he asked me. He said, "Man, you've done a great job at this point." He said, "How would you like to be a full-time Statler Brother?" And I said, "You know what? I'd be a fool to turn this down." and so. I didn't want him to quit at all. But the reason that he did it was for health reasons, and he eventually passed away in 1990 from complications of the Crohn's disease. But I think the reason it worked is because I had his blessing, and people understood that, the Statler Brothers wanted to continue on, and that it all happened for not the wrong reasons. You know what I'm saying? It was for the right reasons, and he was one of my best buddies, and I miss him really, really bad. But it just seems like yesterday. But he's been gone, for like 26 years, and that's 26 years, like more than a fourth of a century. I still can't believe that. But it just seems like yesterday. And I always pay tribute to him in all of my shows that I do. I will, when I come to Sisseton, I pay tribute to my buddy Lou and to the rest of my brothers, the Statler Brothers, Harold, Phil, and Don. They've been retired for 14 years now, and I still can't believe that. I can't get my heart around that, hardly. But I'm still out paying tribute to my brothers. They're doing well, enjoying their retirement back in Virginia, and I talk to them quite often. Matter of fact, Don just came a little over a week ago. We went to the ACM Awards. They honored us with the Pioneer Award this year at the ACM, and so he got to come down. We hung out, and Harold and Phil didn't come, but they were home watching it on TV, and we tried to make them proud. And but after all these years, still be winning awards with the most awarded act in the history of country music is pretty cool.
Yeah, it says that you guys are doing something right.
Yeah. And like I said, life's been full of those God things for us. We've been very blessed.
Hey, do you remember the first show that you ever did with the Statler Brothers when you were filling in?
Yeah, the first show I did was January the 28th, 1982, was in Savannah, Georgia.
What were the nerves like, Jimmy?
You know what? They made it so easy for me, and it was really weird. It just felt like I was supposed to be there, and I'd worked so much and I'd worked so hard, playing 4 hours a night, for six nights a week for so many years that to go out and actually have something planned out, and all I had to do was sing tenor. I had to get on stage and sing tenor with one of my favorite groups in the whole wide world, and I knew every word, and I knew what to do, and it was just like literally like going out and taking a walk. I mean, although I was nervous because I wanted to do a good job, and I looked across the stage and at times and I'd see Harold, Phil, and Don, and I couldn't believe I was standing on stage with them. It was like a dream, really. And then 21 years went by like a snap of a finger. I was standing there on stage with them, singing the last song, Amazing Grace, with them on stage in 2002, October the 26th, 2002, singing the last song with them, and it was like all those memories and all those people that had been there, like Lou and like my mother and like my father and like some of the others that had passed away along the way, and all those memories came flooding back. And if you ever watched the DVD of that show, they didn't show the whole thing, but I almost didn't make it through Amazing Grace because it was so emotional for me. Matter of fact, I still don't know how I sang it to this day. But that was the first song. Amazing Grace was the first song we sang together around the piano at Harold's house. And then Amazing Grace was the last song that we sang on stage together in 2002. So it was an emotional night. And a time that went by, I must have had, they say time flies when you're having fun. Well, I must have had a pile of fun because it sure did go by fast.
Well,
yeah.
Did they ask you to do songwriting for them when you first joined the group, or how did that come about that you brought your songs to them?
No, I never had written a song before I was with them. And,
really?
I went to them not long after I'd been there, a few months, and I asked Harold, Phil, and Don, I said, if I write a song, would you guys record it? And Harold said, well, you're a little buddy, but it's good enough. And so the next day, another God thing, I took them the song Elizabeth, and I went in, I played Elizabeth for them. I had two of those Walkman recorders. I had two of those, and I went in the bathroom in the hotel where I was at, and I could write a whole chapter in my book, and I am on just writing Elizabeth, how it took place and everything, and I love the name anyway. And I put a tape recorder up and I recorded it into one tape recorder. Then I played that tape recorder, sang a part into another tape recorder, and then played them back and forth, and I kind of ping-ponged them so I could stack the parts on so he could hear the harmonies, you know. And I took that and played it for them the next morning, and they just loved it, and they said, well, it's going on our first record. And it was actually the third single off the first album, which was the Today album.
Yeah.
And the song went #1, and it was Song of the Year, and I won Songwriter of the Year for that. I was like, you know, what in the world? How did this happen? You know, and I mean, how do you explain things like that? You can't. I mean, it's only God can make things like that happen, and for whatever reason. I mean, I'm not saying I was this perfect angel because I wasn't. Man, I've had my times in my life where I wondered why in the world God even let me live on this earth. You know, but I said God uses things. He uses people, and He has with me. And that's why today I use so much of a positive thing in my songs and my about families and about you know, how to get through tough times and everything, because I've been through some tough times too. Even though I've had a blessed life, you know, we need losing. I lost one of my best friends one time, and then I lost my mom and my dad, and so many friends along the way, and then, you know, when jobs change, like when the Statler Brothers retired, that's when we really need to lean on our faith and lean on God to help us, because He's got a bigger plan. It's a lot bigger than us. It's bigger. We can't even put our heads and our hearts around what God's got planned for us in our lives. And so that's the way my life was. You know, I just kind of was a free spirit, and I think God knew it. So He had to really sometimes actually physically pull me out of situations and put me on the right path, you know, and he really did that, and I look back and I see it, and the whole thing where he takes care of the birds in the sky and everything, he'll surely take care of us, you know, and he has.
Well, and that path for Jimmy Fortune will lead to Sisseton, South Dakota on Saturday night, Lord willing. We'll see you there.
Well, I am looking forward to coming. We're leaving, going to Branson, and then from Branson we'll be coming on out there, and so I'm just surely looking forward to seeing everybody, and I'm excited. I really am. And so it's the Sisseton Performing Arts Center, and like I said, never had the opportunity to grace that place, but I'm surely looking forward to it.
Well, Mr. Fortune, we're looking forward to it as well, sir, and we can't wait for Saturday nights, so we'll see you up here. All
right, tell everybody, hey, and we're coming, and if they want to hear a certain song, they better yell it out to me while I'm doing my show. If they don't get to hear it, you know, sometimes I tell people, you want something, you better yell it out before I leave the stage, because I'll try to do it for you, because I try to make everybody happy. Some of the songs I hadn't done in a while, like somebody yelled out Class of 57 the other night. I hadn't done that in a long time, and I said, you realize that there were 4 guys singing that song before, and we all had our little part. And then when I'm singing it now, I got to sing everybody's part. So, and there's a lot of names and words in some of those songs. But I got through it. I did it. So,
well, and I'm sure there's somebody listening to us right now that's going to be yelling out, Class of 57, Jimmy!
Bring it on. Hey, I'm ready for it. That's all right with me.
Jimmy Fortune, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be in Sisseton Saturday night, 7 o'clock at the Performing Arts Center. Tickets are still on sale for that. We hope to see you there. And Jimmy, we'll look forward to seeing you there, my friend.
Thanks, John. God bless you, buddy. I appreciate it. Look forward to seeing everybody.